Hello and welcome back. This chapter is on page, let me find it, 56 in your textbook. And there was no vocabulary video for this one, but we do have these terms. I want to go back and review these two terms before we get started. The first is inference. An inference is an educated guess based on what you read and what you know. Inference is figuring out the educated guess. That's called drawing an inference. And the other one I want to review with you is evidence. If I can find it quickly, here we go. Evidence are facts, details, examples, and expert opinions that support an author's point of view. So in this particular lesson, we're going to be making inferences using evidence. This is a more complicated skill than what we've been doing. This is more advanced because we're getting toward the end of the book. So if you'll join me on page 56, we'll look at an example. We don't have to do anything. We just have to read this. But I wanted to make sure I highlight this sentence. You should always be able to support your inference, your guess, your conclusion, with evidence from the story. When the alarm on her cell phone went off, Rosie shut it off. Rosie thought about her office and all the people she worked with there. Then she cheerfully jumped out of bed. A detail. The writer states that Rosie woke up, thought about where she works and who she works with, and then she cheerfully jumped out of bed. Here's the evidence from the passage. Background knowledge. I don't have any background knowledge yet, other than I know how I feel when my alarm goes off in the morning. I do much the same thing that Rosie does. Personal experience, that's what I'm talking about here. When the alarm wakes me in the morning, I sometimes think about work. This person says it doesn't always make me as cheerful as it makes Rosie. Now let's notice something. The story is in third person. Here the narrator switches to first person. Here we're getting the narrator's point of view, not necessarily Rosie's point of view. So that first person, third person thing can help you to understand whose perspective we're looking at. So what conclusion can I draw from this? What inference? Rosie enjoys working in her office and likes the people she works with. So we are using information from that passage to make this inference. Here is a test example. Read the passage, then answer the question. Sorry, I needed a sip of coffee. Jake groaned when the alarm buzzed. He shut it off and went back to sleep. He groaned. He went back to sleep. 30 minutes later, Jake bolted awake and sprang out of bed. After putting on his clothes, he stuffed the files he worked on last night into his briefcase. Jake looked with longing at the coffee maker and the toaster, but made himself leave the house. While he was impatiently waiting at the bus stop, Jake's cell phone rang. He groaned. The number on the screen belonged to a coworker, not a friend. Read the sentence. Jake looked with longing at the coffee maker and the toaster, but made himself leave the house. What inference can you make based on this detail? Now, think about what we also know. The alarm went off, he shut it off, and he went back to sleep. 30 minutes later, he jumped out of bed. Jake wishes that someone would make breakfast for him. Jake needs to buy coffee and bread at the grocery store. Jake can't eat breakfast because he is on a diet. Or Jake doesn't have time to have breakfast because he's late for work. There's the one. He turned that alarm off and went back to sleep, and he slept away his breakfast time. Okay, in the next video, we will look at page 55. So I will see you soon.